Okay, the meeting is called to order for the Academic Affairs, Student Life, and Athletics Committee. And before we get into specific agenda items, I want to mention that this is our first committee meeting since we had the exciting and wonderful recognition from the Princeton Review on MTSU being one of the best universities in the nation for undergraduate degrees. So a thank you to all of the staff, the faculty, the administration, everyone for that. It does not come easy. So we thank you and congratulate you on that amazing accomplishment. So thank you for everyone for being here. And we have 3 action items today and 1 informational item. Dr. McPhee, do you have any opening remarks before we start our business? Okay. So we'll begin with roll call.
Trustee Baker.
Here.
Trustee DeLay. Trustee Jacobs.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Here.
General Huber.
Here.
Chris Massaro.
Here.
Trustee Eisenberg.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. And also welcome to our new board member, Tom Boyd. He's not a committee member, but he's here today, and we really appreciate his attendance and are excited to have him on the board. The first item of business is approval of minutes, and everyone's had a chance to review the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. We can do this by voice vote.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The minutes have been adopted. So our first item of business is approval of a new academic degree program and for a Bachelor of Science in Data Science. And Mark Burns will present for this.
Thank you, Chairman Wright. Good morning, everybody. We're really excited today to present this proposal for a new academic program to you. Some months ago, you approved the concept of this, and now we come to you with a full proposal. Assuming this committee approves it today, it'll be on your agenda for the full board meeting at the next meeting, and assuming it's approved then, it'll go to the November THEC meeting, and assuming it's approved then, it will be launched in fall of 2020. So that's our timetable. You talk about a degree that meets workforce needs and makes our students career ready. This is it. I don't think it's a secret to anybody in this room that the IT market in Nashville is booming, there's all manner of statistics out there about the number of openings and how difficult it is for companies to find qualified employees in this area. And so this is really what this degree is all about. Before I give you an overview, though, let me introduce a few people. In the audience is Dr. Lisa Green. Lisa, wave your hand, please. Lisa is in our Department of Mathematical Sciences, and she'll be the director of this program. And then next to Lisa is Dr. Charlie Apigian. Charlie's co-director of our Data Science Institute, and Charlie has been instrumental in the work on this degree as well. And then, of course, Peter Cunningham is our vice provost for academic programs, who is key in all of these proposals that go forward to THEC. So the genesis of this degree was a meeting that took place months and months ago among faculty members from computer science, math, information systems and analytics, economics and finance, to talk about what sort of new degree there might be in this area with a mind toward the workforce needs and also where the discipline, broadly speaking, of IT was going nationwide. And they settled after a considerable discussion on this BS in data science. Data science is a fairly new area of study. It's a multidisciplinary approach, and essentially, as the name implies, it involves the gathering and analysis of data and using data to help organizations make decisions. I don't want to belabor the obvious. This is where we are as a society now. Even here at MTSU, for the last several years, we've had a platform that we purchased from a company called EAB, which is all about big data and analyzing sort of student performance in classes and other factors and trying to help us do a better job of advising them and predicting what courses they're going to do. And so that would be an example of this sort of data gathering, processing, maintaining analysis, and drawing conclusions. I mean, that's what we're doing in that platform. Only one other university in Tennessee has a standalone data science degree. That's Lipscomb University. There are some concentrations in existing degrees at other institutions, but no other university has it, and certainly no public university. So we think will be a pretty robust demand for that. The good news is it's going to be relatively inexpensive for us to launch this. As an interdisciplinary degree, all but 5 of the courses that will be part of the major have already been developed and exist in these departments that I mentioned, math, information systems, econ, finance, and one more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Information systems, did I say that? Peter's my lifeline if I forget anything basic. So, strong demand, relatively low cost for us, robust job market, and in your materials you will have seen all sorts of quotes from Glassdoor and all the companies that analyze job prospects, as well as a feasibility study done by our very own Burke that shows virtually endless support for the idea that there are jobs out there waiting for these folks, and good jobs, high-paying jobs right out of a 4-year degree. As I said, the core courses are already set up. We expect to hire probably all this year, maybe 2 this year and 1 next year, but 3 people, 3 new faculty members for this program. Those positions will be reallocated from other parts of the university. The costs, I don't want to ever undersell the costs, but we're pretty confident that this is going to be a really good investment. On page 22 of your book, you'll see projected enrollments. The financials are on page 30, and then following that is the feasibility study. Again, all of which I think demonstrate the demand for this, as well as our ability to deliver it in a good, positive way for our students. Be happy to answer any questions at this point. Yes, sir.
Any partnerships signed up yet under technology or large accounting firms of that nature?
That's sort of Charlie's specialty. Charlie, do you mind, with Madam Chair, with your permission, can Charlie, yes, if he can come up here and address that?
Good morning, everyone. Great question. So when we started this process, what we did is we went to different groups up in Nashville. Number one was Nashville Technology Council. Nashville Technology Council is made up of 450 to 500 IT companies in the Nashville community. I'm also a board member. We brought in, it was actually on December 11th of 2018, we brought in about 8 to 10 chief data scientists from a lot of the different companies, included HCA, Digital Reasoning, Juice Analytics, CHS, some of the bigger companies. So right now the approach is to find out what everybody's looking for, and I feel like we have a good idea of what that is. And we're hoping that by starting with a Bachelor of Science, which really there isn't any true interdisciplinary ones in the state or even in the Southeast. You'll see ones that are in computer science. You'll see ones that are computer science and math, but where you have computer science, math, and then also from the business college, information systems and economics and finance. It makes it truly unique. And that was because of talking to those individuals and finding out what they really wanted was, yeah, they get that they need programming skills, they need math, but they have to be able to tell a story with the data. And to be able to tell a story with the data, you have to understand business, you have to understand stand a little bit more, and it goes to the great core that we have. You have to have those skills along with business, programming, and math skills. So we continually talk to those individuals. I'm actually speaking on Tuesday at the Analytics Summit, where there'll be something like 700 people from data science coming from across the Southeast, and we'll be promoting the idea of this program, and of course, for me, the Data Science Institute.
We can't do anything officially, of course, till THEC approves the program, so just keep that note in mind.
If I was you, I'd lean on Mr. Jacobs over there at CHS and HCA and a couple of them to let him also open the door to.
We'll be absolutely happy to work with any companies as we get going on this. And, Edmund Jackson is the chief data scientist at HCA. I can kind of go through the names of people that have written us letters of support. I do feel that we have the backing of the Nashville community, or I should say the greater Nashville community, which includes us as well.
Good.
Well, there were certainly a large number of letters supporting this, so any, Tom?
Mark, first of all, I'm totally supportive of the program, and about 10 years or so ago, I was on the Northern Kentucky University campus, and somehow I came across a study called informatics. And I thought, what in the world is informatics, which I'm still not sure I know, but anyway, they've got a college of informatics with about 2,000 students. So I think there's tremendous potential for this in the really intermediate to short term for this program. Just one question to make sure I understand the financials as such.
Yes, sir.
If I understand, initially the salaries are really reallocations. Is that true? Salaries are reallocations?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so after, if you consider those as not incremental costs, but really this program from year one, I know this is not a good university term, brings money to the bottom line. Is that correct?
I think it is. We have to be careful in how we talk about that with THEC, though, because they have recently gotten a little bit funny about the idea of certain programs making a whole lot of money. But so we don't want to really talk about profiting off of programs. But yes, you're correct. I mean, we do have those existing costs now, so we're not really adding, in terms of salary, we should not be adding any additional costs. So your basic premise, I think, is quite correct, that it's a...
Again, totally supportive and think there's tremendous potential.
Thank you.
And Chairman Smith had a question.
Following up on Tom's line of thinking, we've just come from our rendezvous of schools, and every class was talking about return on investment. So I'd like for the minutes to reflect that we get, since we're starting a new one, next year, it'll be too early because we won't have anybody next year, I've got to. But for this meeting on an annual basis, I'd like to know, we started here, we did this, we've done that, and what is our return, both in degrees and in resources. But I'd just like for the minutes to reflect we're going to get a year. This is an easier one because it's a new start. I'm all for it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll do that.
I'd double that because that seemed to be opposite of what you're saying. The new theme that was introduced at our Memphis meetings from the different sessions that we went to, especially when they unplugged the guy from Arizona. So, but THEC sponsored him, so figure that out.
I'm still trying to figure out much of what he said.
I understand too.
He comes from a much different university, a much different system than we have, so
Right.
I'm not sure how much of that was really applicable to us. But we've got a great big old university out there. Talking about Arizona State, where our speaker was from.
I move for approval, Madam Chair.
Okay, is there a second?
I'm sorry.
I had one question, if
yes,
that's okay.
okay.
If this program takes off the way you think it will and the way we hope it will, it will expand? And do we have the proper measurements to know when we need to get new technology greater than what we have now because technology's changing, or we have the ability to
Right.
hire more faculty because we got more people? Have we got that speed and those controls and checks in place?
We are always monitoring that, as you know, and the department chair and the dean are not shy about sharing with me their needs for both faculty and space. So yeah, if our principle has always been a growing program, we're going to support it with faculty. Space is a little bit trickier, but we can certainly get the technology in place, and we'll find the space. I mean, we're pretty creative when it comes to that stuff.
'Cause-
But you're right. I think
Go ahead.
it is going to boom, and we'll have to be willing to support that. But I'll take that problem all day long.
Because nothing will kill a brand-new program, especially one that's technologically attached, as faster than understaffing and old equipment.
And
Kill it
yeah,
immediately.
right. And that's why we're going fairly aggressively with the new hires right off the bat to make sure that we don't have that problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion from Chairman Smith. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. And so I think, Mark, are you also our next presenter? Okay, so the next item of business is approval of policy revision. It's an action item. It's policy 501, residency classification.
Good morning. This is a singular change to Policy 501 that's required to get us in line with legislation that was passed last year. This is the residency policy, and it's the portion of the policy that relates to how we classify service members and their spouses or dependents. They passed legislation this past season, and it enumerated that certain requirements for us to extend in-state tuition to these spouses. The new policy simply enumerates those, and we ask for your approval to update it.
Okay. My guess is that's not going to be controversial.
I do have a question.
Okay.
We've talked a number of times, and I thought we had approved on 59 or 7 of 7 that the border states was how far we extended. It's up to the board to extend how far away to have those. And I thought we had approved that, but there's at least 2 spots in here where it's nebulous in my mind. So I think this ought to be amended to say border states, if that's what we have done. And my memory is only good sometimes, but we had a 250-mile radius, right? And then we went to border states. I'm just 98% sure on that, and it doesn't indicate.
I'll be happy to go back and take a look at that. It should include both. I believe where we landed was that it would be all of our border states plus 250 miles into a state that was not a border state. Right. So I'll double check that that's correct, and if we need to make an adjustment, we're happy to do that.
I thought it was all border states, but regardless of what it is, it ought to be in here, whatever we've approved. And if it needs to be border states, we can do that.
I'm sorry, I may have not been clear. It is all border states. Plus, if a state is close enough but not a border state, we go 250 miles
Indiana
into that
might
state.
be, for instance.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
I'll double
But
check.
It acts like it's to be determined the way I read it.
I think that the way we left it was so that if the board decides to make a different decision, we can do it without having to change the whole policy. We left it relatively indeterminate so that we could change it as a procedure or a practice related to the scholarship itself, rather than to have to go back and change the entire policy.
Might be splitting hairs. This just says within a specified radius of campus as determined by the board.
Correct.
And published, and we have determined.
That's correct,
I
and
mean,
we
that
do
doesn't
have
mean
it
we can't
published.
redetermine, but we have determined, so.
Yes.
And it's again on page 7 of 7 or 77. it mentions the same verbiage. I'd prefer it to go ahead and say what we've done.
Okay, so there's a proposal to amend the motion.
I need to be clear on exactly what and where you want the revision and what you want the revision, please, to say.
Well, this is unclear as to how the borders, no pun intended, but the limits of where an academic scholar can get special tuition. And it's not unclear in the board's mind.
I think what the chairman is asking is that we wrote the policy to say that the board would specify and that we would publish, which is how we've done it. The board has specified and we've published it as a part of the scholarship requirements. I think what the chairman is asking is for us to include those specifications as they currently stand in the policy, and if the board decides to change them, we'll have to change the policy at that point.
And we will have to change the rule as well.
That's the issue. This goes to the legislature for promulgation.
And not including it in the policy or the rule allows us not to have to take that extra step. It is, as Dr. Sells mentioned, published on
It's
the website.
published on-
But if that's the will of the board, of course, we will.
The
as
extra step
requested.
being approval by whom?
I'm
The
sorry?
legislature.
The extra step being, if we were to take
legislature.
the legislature. And I guess I'd rather stay under their radar, and since we've been approved to set it by them, putting the specific down there would restrict us rather than
That was the
help
thought.
us.
Well, does our homework tell us that other universities have the policy Steve's referring to or not?
No, I believe they do it the way we do it, where they say that the board can specify, and then they, as they amend or change it, they just change their procedure or their specifications as listed under the scholarship requirements.
I'm happy leaving it like it is, as long as the minutes reflect that the board has decided what
Yes.
the borders are.
And that is how it is published in all of our scholarship materials.
I mean, just so, when I read that, I thought,
Oh, no.
gosh, I thought we thought about that.
You did.
Okay, thank you.
So do I hear a motion for approval of the change in policy 501 residency classification?
So moved.
And second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Can
So
I ask a
that-
question, if Deb's up there? One of the, we're now all geniuses coming back from our conference. And one of the things they mentioned, though, that I thought was particularly pertinent to one of your and mine passions on trying to one flat tire away student is a big move, and Mark says we're on it, but I want to make sure that minutes reflect that we're on it, to convert to the books being on this. And because at least the theory was that a child that's so close can't afford $100 or $200 or $500 worth of books, and every doggone one's got this. And I guess I'm saying that because I think it would apply to one of your passions, but maybe asking Mark, do we have a program or where are we on that? And I don't have to know at this point, but it made plenty sense to me that 60, 70 bucks they could download the child's books on this versus having to, and they had great stats. If you don't pass, a large percentage of them have never bought the book.
Right. We are working on that. There's a trend across the nation called OER, Open Educational Resources, many of which are free. Now, right now, there are plenty of publishers of the major textbooks who offer online editions in addition to, or instead of the hardcover, but they charge essentially the same amount. So Cheryl Torsney, the vice provost, I don't know if she's here this morning, but she's sort of leading up an effort to look at that and see what can we do, and what, a lot of this is beyond our control because it's market driven. The publishers, are nervous about this. I will say though that our bookstore manager is a great fellow who's been here a long time. He's quite interested in this and has been cooperative. He's not been fighting us at all. So I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out, but it is something that we're paying attention to. and we know, as you mentioned, not having a textbook is an indicator of likely not doing well in the course. So we're trying to figure that out.
Can we get a report on that at our next meeting of this committee, which that's several months off, but I'd like to have a report.
Okay.
Even if we could only offer one book, it would be better than no books. That seemed a good idea to me.
Well, in fact, the library this semester has just started a program in which many of the basic textbooks are on reserve in the library, so that students can go and for free and check those out for several hours at a time. So that's one small step in that direction, but we'll come back with a more full report at the next meeting.
That would be great, because your update about the enrollments and the problem that some kids just don't get here because of money, this is a really critical issue, so thank you. Right. So that's the end of our action items. We will move to informational items, and Chris, you are going to give us an update on athletics.
Good morning, everybody. I thought that one of the things as we enter September and the start of the academic year, and both competitively and academically, that we take a look back and see what happened last year as well. So I think that one of the most important things we do is obviously is in conjunction with Dr. Sells and her group is our academic report, and just some of the highlights that we had from the fall semester of last year. We had an overall GPA of 2.950 for the semester. Our student athlete cumulative was a 3.044. 11 of our 15 teams had a 3.0 or higher. 118 of our student athletes made the Dean's List, which is 3.5 and higher. 38 of our student athletes in the fall semester had a perfect 4.0. And 55% of our student athletes had a 3.0 or higher. The spring semester, the numbers are very similar, that we had a 3.074 semester GPA, 3.11 cumulative GPA, and we improved by one team. 12 of our 15 teams had a GPA of 3.0 or higher. 113 of our student athletes made the Dean's List, which is 3.5 and above. 36 of our student athletes had a perfect 4.0, and 61% of our student athletes had a 3.0 or higher. And maybe the most relevant number you'll hear from me in terms of last year is that we graduated 58 of our student athletes last year. So it was a good year academically. The numbers are pretty similar the last 3-4 years, which I like that we're hitting that consistency, which you really do like to see. We have a goal each year to win at least 3 conference championships. 2 years ago we won 5. Last year we won 3 conference titles. Our men's indoor track, men's tennis, and men's golf all won titles, and football won the Eastern Division title as well. So we hit our goal. We were a little bit down from a year ago. As we look forward, I think that we can look for some significant improvement in some of our teams, particularly our 2 basketballs, baseball, and our women's soccer are all kind of poised for a leap forward as well. I was told that you'd be curious in the terms of tickets and where we stand with season tickets. As you know, our home opener is this Saturday against Tennessee State, which is a local rivalry. There's some significant interest in that game. In terms of season tickets, to date we've sold, as of last night, 4,316 season tickets. Last year we finished at 4,240. So we're up 76 season tickets to where we finished last year. So hopefully we can add to that number a little bit through the course of this week as well. We've been busy through the summer on a committee chaired by Dr. Sells with the Coaches Conduct Committee, just as we review kind of the do's and don'ts of what we expect our coaches, and to really provide them some guardrails. as we all know, coaching has changed a lot the last 20 years, and what may be permissible 20 years ago is not permissible now, and just to be able to provide our coaches those guardrails. So we're in the final draft stages of making this a policy for Dr. McPhee's approval. It's been presented to the coaches in terms of kind of their expected behaviors. Quite honestly, one of the bigger debates and kind of trying to settle in on how to define verbal abuse and just where does that cross the line from hard coaching and maybe telling the truth to being abusive. And so to try to put some definition to that was a challenge, but I think the committee, and it was again chaired by Dr. Sells, landed in a very good spot. And we had coaches' input at the end on this, and they all seem to be comfortable with the idea and kind of the process. So it's still a little bit of a work in progress. We'll see as we embark this year on it and what changes we may make to the policy and to the code of conduct, so to speak. So that was a major part of the summer. We're also diligently working on our facility plan with a lot of cultivation with donors, and that will really occur a lot, particularly this fall with the advent of football season. I don't think that anybody that goes to any of our games can look around and see that we have fallen behind in our football and basketball infrastructures to maybe what we're competing with. And so if we can certainly shore those up and again, the plan that we have I would think would raise us to the top of the group of 5 and really allow our coaches to recruit and to set the table for the next 20 years for this university. That's a major, major initiative that we're embarking on, and it's progressing well, but this fall is a very important fall for us. So, and again, as we look forward, it's going to be a great year competitively. We were very pleased with the early results. The soccer team is playing well. They're 3-1 non-conference and look to be like they can have a chance to compete for the title. Our men's cross-country team was ranked 22nd in the country to start the season, and they won their first meet over in Memphis last week. And football had, I thought, a very good showing at Michigan. I was really proud of them, and they didn't flinch against a lot of odds against them and really battled hard. So this is an important week for us in terms of football and Tennessee State, and should be a good crowd. That we've got a lot of new initiatives for the game. We have the recreation of the Blue Zoo in the student section. Thus far, when you compare numbers, we've had more students pick up as of Tuesday of game week than we did for any game that we had last year as well. So when I compare those kind of numbers, the trends are up. I think Tennessee State, the crowd that we generate will really largely be dependent on the walk-up that we do. I think both fan bases are used to buying tickets to the day of the game and coming in. So we'll know more on Saturday. So I'm open for any kind of questions you may have in terms of what's happening in the athletics department.
Chris, and this may be more a question for Dr. Sells, has there been communication back with the families of the athletes that raised some initial concerns, and have we communicated that policies and what we've done on that?
Yes, Madam Chair, let me answer that question. I have initially indicated through email communication to the one of the family who was really the kind of leader who came and made the presentation that we were working on a policy, and that as soon as it is official and approved, that I'll be getting back with them on it.
Okay. I asked the question because of obvious customer relations and public relations. And a follow-up question on ticket sales: are we doing extra efforts? Are there new things going into place for increasing ticket sales, or?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Yeah, that obviously that particularly our football attendance is one of the things that we have to improve. Particularly towards the end of the season, as our attendance tends to drain a little bit. We draw better in September than we do in October, than we do in November. So one of the things that we've done that I'm really excited about is this creation of a beer garden in the end zone, and with our fermentation science program. So literally right in the end zone, we can have craft beer, and it's really designed after the Sounds and their bandbox down the right field lounge. We're going to have Jenga games. We're going to have cornhole. It's just going to be an entertainment space that's really free for anybody that goes and buys a ticket, and to celebrate kind of an Oktoberfest kind of festival, some sort of street type festival that one would expect when they go to a street fair. And it's to create that inside our stadium. We've also really rebranded and tried to improve our family fun zone by bringing in more inflatables, making those visible inside the stadium, and kind of the opposite corner to try to really hit that demographic. And as I mentioned, kind of the recreation of our student section, the Blue Zoo, which we've got some students that are Kobe Herman, who's done a very great job leading this charge of this rebranding of the Blue Zoo. And that appears to be very organic and has some roots to it. And I'm excited to see its results. I think that the student body is really the key to creating a game environment that people want to be attracted to. And so the Blue Zoo is a big deal. We had a banner unveiling a couple of weeks ago of celebration of the Blue Zoo, and the banner that they furry up in their section. It covers one big section and says the Blue Zoo on it, and they undo it. And we did that after a football practice, kind of in conjunction with our scholars program and the football team after a practice. And it was an incredibly successful event. So we're doing a lot more trying to get those students, and student-to-student marketing is probably the biggest change that we've had this year, which I think is probably the most impactful kind of marketing we can do to students.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to add to that, to your question. I think there's a new initiative that we implemented between athletics, academics, convocation, the President's Picnic, and Fan Day. That was a resounding success. As you know, beginning each fall, we bring in the freshman students and their families for convocation. We had about 7,000 in the Murphy Center. And for the first time, after convocation, I sponsored President's Picnic for the families and the incoming new students. But first time this year, we combined that with Fan Day for the football program. And I wish some of you were there to really see the excitement and the response from our incoming freshmen, parents, people in the community. That was a resounding success. I think it was Andrew Upman's idea, working with student affairs and athletics, and it's a good example of teamwork that hopefully we'll see the results down the road as people get more excited and be exposed to the opportunities and the excitement with our football and athletic program.
Just kind of to put a quantifiable number to what Dr. McPhee said, is that last year at Fan Day we sold 1 season ticket. This year we sold 16 season tickets. So we also had more people sign up for our Raiders Kids Club than we ever had in any particular event. So it did generate some numbers that we desired to have. So it was a hugely successful event.
Fabulous.
Chris, when will beer sales be cut off during the game?
As they were last year at the end of the third quarter for football, and men's basketball at the 10-minute mark of the second half, and in baseball at the end of the 7th inning.
I hear different comments about marketing from students, from athletic department. I haven't heard anything directly with BRAA. Tell me exactly what that marketing feed is and feed out.
Yeah, and the BRAA is our Blue Raiders Athletic Association, which is our basically their primary responsibilities are for the annual fund drive and for athletic department development. And so their outreach in a lot of ways depends on the time of year. Like this week and next week, a lot of it is donor fulfillment, where they're looking to fulfill the parking and all those kind of needs, and to make sure and to be there to adjust if somebody has a problem in the outdoor suites and those kind of things. So they're more person to person and donor to donor marketing. Okay. Then we have a person named Chelsea Floyd that runs our marketing department, works very closely with Andrew Ottman's shop, and she's really responsible for the placement of the advertising, the direct marketing to the student body, and the in-game promotions that you see. And one of the things, just kind of to keep on the student theme, is that what we're trying to do is to give more in-game prizes to them. We've got a new electronic system that they sign up for, that's their electronic ticket, and by doing that gives us access to them to say, hey, like the first game, at some point they're going to receive notification that they get a free hot dog. And then so with some of our sponsors, whether it's a free game of bowling or a free French fries at a local store. So we're just trying to make it pay for them to come and to help provide more amenities to their game day experience. So the BRAA is more person to person, and then our marketing department's more of this umbrella type that tries to capture the masses. Any other questions? All right, thank you, and I'll see you guys Saturday at 6.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. That was great information, a great update. So that concludes our business items. Is there any other business, any other discussion? Just a reminder to everyone, if you have agenda items that you're interested in, let me know or let Mark Burns know or someone in the administration know. We can always add informational items to the agenda, things that are relevant. So if any of the committee members have suggestions for items and they want updates on things, let us know. Thanks to everyone for your attendance today, your information, your input, your comments, and the meeting is adjourned.
We'll start to